Stewie meets her up top, but then definitely comes down afterwards and contact to the face. Yeah.
We have seen Stewie make some plays today defensively. Comes over, right hand.
Oh, that hand does hit the face on the follow-through, though.
She does. She meets her up top, but definitely contact.
Boston, corner three, can't connect. Stewart the rebound. Joe.
Clark behind the back. Stewart comes over, blocks the shot. Clark feels like she got hit in the...
Defensively, comes over, right hand.
Oh, that hand does hit the face on the follow-through, though.
She does. She meets her up top, but definitely comes down afterwards and contacts to the face.
There are two separate situations involving Clark from the Liberty game that have taken hold on social media and are generating the kind of sustained attention that these incidents consistently produce when they involve this specific player. Both deserve honest and direct examination because both reveal something important about the officiating environment Clark is navigating and the way this league manages physical plays that affect its most commercially significant player. Let us start with Brianna Stewart, because the post-game media moment involving her has become its own separate story alongside the on-court incident itself. During the Liberty game, Brianna Stewart made contact with Clark that resulted in what observers are describing as an eye poke. The characterization of the play matters for honest analysis, so let us be precise about it. This was a basketball play in the sense that it occurred within the flow of normal competitive action, rather than as a deliberate standalone act of targeting. That distinction is real and should be acknowledged honestly. Players compete in close physical proximity, and incidental contact involving hands and arms occurs regularly in professional basketball. But here is where the distinction between incidental contact and contact requiring a flagrant foul review becomes the critical question. An eye poke, regardless of the competitive context in which it occurs, represents a category of contact that the league's own rules and review standards are designed to capture and assess. The location of the contact, directed at a player's face and specifically her eye, is exactly the kind of play that replay review processes exist to examine after the fact. The question is not whether Stewart intended to poke Clark in the eye. The question is whether the contact, wherever its intent sits on the spectrum, met the threshold for flagrant foul designation under the standards the league applies to protect player safety. The observation being made widely and with legitimate foundation is that it should have. And the fact that it apparently was not reviewed or designated as a flagrant foul raises the same accountability questions that have been raised about officiating decisions involving Clark throughout this season. What amplified this specific situation considerably was Stewart's response in the post-game media session. When reporters asked Stewart about the play and about the contact with Clark, Stewart declined to answer. She refused to address the question directly. That refusal, in the context of everything surrounding Clark and the physical incidents this season, landed with a particular weight that social media picked up and ran with immediately. This is the pattern that has defined the media cycle around these incidents throughout this year. The play happens. The review question surfaces. The involved player declines to engage with accountability questions in the post-game forum. And then the social media ecosystem that has been engaged with this story at an extraordinary level of sustained attention amplifies the combination of the play itself and the post-game non-response into a story that travels far beyond the boundaries of typical sports coverage. It travels because the audience watching this specific situation has been primed by months of documented incidents, congressional letters, international media coverage, and the NBA commissioner's own public statements to evaluate each new development within a larger pattern of concern. When a player eye pokes the most watched player in the sport and then refuses to address it in the postgame, it reads as confirmation of a culture within this league that has been named and documented by observers at the highest levels of professional basketball. Now let us address the Jonquel Jones moving screen situation and the technical foul it produced, because this is the incident that most directly connects to the accountability questions surrounding officiating standards. Jones set a screen on Clark during the game. The characterization of the play by observers who have reviewed the footage is that it was a moving screen rather than a properly set stationary one, which would make it an illegal screen under the league's own rules. Clark, after absorbing the contact from this screen, attempted to address the matter with the officiating crew. She communicated her reaction to what she had just experienced to a referee. The result was a technical foul assessed against Clark. Let that sequence be stated plainly for clarity. A screen that observers characterize as moving and therefore illegal makes hard contact with Clark. No foul is called on the screen. Clark attempts to communicate with the referee about the situation. Clark receives a technical foul. The action is rewarded with no call. The reaction to the uncalled action receives a technical foul. This is the operational reality of the officiating environment Clark is navigating, and it represents a consistency problem that the league's leadership needs to address with the same specificity that Adam Silver brought to his public comments about how she has been treated. The second half of this game did reflect an observable shift in officiating approach. The Fever were getting calls. Clark was getting to the free throw line. The officials appeared to recalibrate during the course of the game in ways that produced a more equitable, competitive environment in the final 2 quarters than the first 2 provided. That shift is real, it is observable, and it reflects whatever institutional pressure the public commentary from Silver and others has generated within the officiating structure. But the first half technical foul against Clark for reacting to an uncalled moving screen exists independently of the second half correction. It is already in the ledger. It is already part of her accumulation toward a suspension threshold. The correction that came in the second half does not erase the consequence of the first half technical, and that technical now sits as one of the documented pieces of evidence that the officiating environment is not yet consistently applying the standards that Clark's situation demands. The Brianna Stewart situation and the Jonquel Jones situation arrived in the same game. Both involved physical contact directed at Clark. One produced no call on the contact and a technical foul on Clark's reaction. The other produced no flagrant review and a post-game media refusal to engage with accountability questions. Together, they represent a complete picture of what a single game involving Caitlin Clark looks like from an officiating and player conduct accountability standpoint. And it is a picture that the sustained national and international attention on this situation will not allow to pass unnoticed. Social media's role in amplifying these moments is something the league needs to understand as a permanent feature of the environment surrounding Clark. The audience that found its way to women's professional basketball through her presence is not a passive audience. It is engaged, organized, and attentive to exactly the kind of plays and post-game responses that characterize this Liberty game. When Stewart declined to address the eye poke question, that non-response became content that traveled widely and quickly because an enormous audience was already paying close attention and already carrying the context of everything that has happened throughout this season. The league cannot manage this by hoping individual incidents fade from attention. The incidents are too frequent, the audience too large, and the institutional context too well established for any single event to be treated as isolated. Every incident involving Clark now exists within the documented pattern that congressional letters and the NBA commissioner's public statements have formally confirmed as real and as requiring institutional response. What the Brianna Stewart and Jonquel Jones situations from Saturday's game add to that pattern is 2 more data points in the same consistent direction. Physical contact involving Clark without appropriate officiating response. A post-game accountability refusal from an involved player. A technical foul assessed against Clark for reacting to an uncalled play rather than against the play itself. These are not ambiguous events requiring elaborate interpretation. They are observable, documented, and consistent with the larger pattern that has defined this season and drawn institutional attention at levels that reached elected federal officials and the leadership of the NBA itself. The WNBA's officiating standards and its culture of post-game player accountability around incidents involving Clark need to reflect the seriousness of the public and institutional attention this situation has generated.
Brianna, you guys are obviously in a tough stretch this season. Didn't play since Sunday, but obviously your schedule also got thrown out of whack a little bit. Meanwhile, Fever are on a back-to-back. What is the feeling after a loss like this?
I mean, I think the feeling after a loss like this is like we got to find a way to kind of stop the bleeding. You know, one loss can't turn into two, can't turn into three, and now four. Like, that's a lot. But like, me mentally, like, I'm looking at myself. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot that I didn't do well today between the turnovers or the missed free throws or things like that. So, in order for us to be our best, like, I need to be better, and I think that's I can definitely look at myself in the mirror and know that. But yeah, it's tough right now.
Either of you want to chime in or?
I mean, I think that, like, a big thing that I'm trying to do for myself is just, like, be really present. You know what I mean? So, if this is where we are at, because we are 13-12, like, knowing that we need to get better, but also, like, I think that we just need to continue to, like, I'm not gonna say like play like the seed that we are, but kind of, you know what I mean? Have some kind of chip on our shoulder or fight behind us. We don't like where we're at right now, but we're there, you know what I mean? And playing with that and realizing that, like, we're in it, we're in the trenches, and we can either keep sinking or we can dig ourselves out, and that's something, like, as an organization we all have to do. And you know, this group, we continue to show up every day for sure, because we have vets, we have pros in here, and these losses are not going to rattle us, but at the same time we need to get better.
Thank you for that. And then just any update on Marine?
Yeah, she just hurt her ankle. No update as of now.
Okay, quickie. Stewie, you guys are talking a lot of kind of big picture things, but to kind of shrink it a little bit, from your perspective, what flipped in that third quarter?
I think obviously defensively, you know, like, second half giving up 30 and 33 is a lot, and I think off of live ball turnovers, that's where I was like, you know, I had some bad ones. I had some bad fouls, like, things that we can control. Like, we shouldn't be giving teams like a million and ones, you know what I mean? If you're gonna foul, like, foul. Don't let them get the ball up. But yeah, you know, the Indiana, when they're hitting shots, they're really having a great time and a lot of fun, and we just let it keep happening in the third.
Big troubles.
Jackie?
Hi all. Stewie, first for you, how do you feel like the turnovers were a result of lineups thrown on the floor that haven't really played together?
I don't think that was like a direct correlation. I think that honestly, Marine Fotukes and Meili came in, and they were being aggressive. You know, they were continuing to kind of put our best players in a position to be successful. And like, if you look at this, like, the turnovers are me and JJ, you know. So, like, listen, it starts with us, and we can't be having 4 and 5 turnovers on a nightly basis, and that's really it.
The second half correction in Saturday's game suggests the capacity for adjustment exists. The first half technical foul and the post-game non-response suggest the adjustment has not yet become consistent and reliable. Stewart declined to answer. Jones set a moving screen that produced a technical against Clark. The league has the footage, the institutional pressure, and the public record to respond appropriately to both situations. Whether it will is the question the coming days will answer.